I'm Andrea.
I'm Alexa.
And welcome to As You Are.
Today is episode 12, the last episode of season 2. As a reminder, we have per season 12 episodes, one vlog. So this is the last one of season 2, and we'll be taking a month break for the month of May and coming back on June 4th.
June 4th. So stay tuned for that. And in today's episode, we're going to talk about reconnecting with your inner child. And we have brought some clay in order to spark that fun and youthful side.
So we'll be molding whatever comes to mind. We're going to shape whatever we feel like we need to shape as we're talking through the episode. And if you have some clay, feel free to join us. If you don't, we're going to link below the product that we bought so that you can get it as well. And it's a non-drying clay, so you can really mold it to whatever shape you want. And that was important to us to not be perfect, because if you know us by now, Andrea and I are letting go of perfection. And so we feel it's just a way for us to not be too perfect about it and to just
and trying to create like a perfect sculpture.
Yeah, it's like it's not going to be pretty and it's not meant to be.
The whole point of this, I think, is to be like creative and see where it goes instead of like planning the whole design of it.
Yeah, like we literally have not thought about what we're going to do. So
yes,
it's going to be fun, and hopefully you can join us. If you do join us, please send us some pictures. We'd love to see whatever you create. That
would be so fun.
And we can post it on our Instagram. That would be beautiful. Seriously, if you do this, please send us a picture.
Yeah.
So the reason why we wanted to talk about your inner child to begin with is because we feel like your inner child holds so many truths about who you are. And for me right now, I've been in a part of my life where I'm really trying to figure out and understand my purpose. And I've just been exposed to the idea recently of connecting to your inner child, because that is what will lead you ultimately to who you are.
Yeah, and I feel that nowadays we become so busy with life in general that sometimes we tend to disconnect from that side, and we don't put so much time on being, or not necessarily time, but we don't put that much effort into reconnecting to that side of us again, because we just tend to ignore it at some point. But we just wanted this to be like a reminder to bring or spark that side up again and reconnect with it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so we'll give you some tips as to how to reconnect with your inner child, and hopefully to live a life that is more in alignment with your purpose.
Yes, hopefully. Oh, also, if you're seeing the video, Alexa and I didn't plan for to wear matching outfits, but as soon as Alexa knocked the door and I opened it, we both look at the sweaters and we're like, oh yeah. Yeah.
It's happened at least 5 times where we open the door and we look at each other like.
We laughed for 2 minutes straight. We were like, yeah.
Yep.
So, if you have to describe your inner child in a few words, how would you describe it?
I would describe my inner child as very creative, carefree, and curious.
Okay.
3 words.
Okay. So when you think about that, is it you trying to remember what you were like a kid, how you were like as a kid, things that you were doing when you were younger?
For the most part, I was just in my room by myself, because I grew up, so I have 2 brothers, and on my mom's side I have a lot of guy cousins that were always at my house. And so I kind of grew up really enjoying time alone and with myself, and I used that time a lot of the time to create. But there's also a part of me too that when I was young, I loved to connect with people as well, and I was just always very curious and asking questions and wanting to learn more.
So more at home, you were more by yourself, more independent, being creative, and then when you were around people, you were very chatty and
yes, more outgoing. I would say there was definitely a growth period, because when I was very, very little, I don't want to say that I was shy, but I've always been pretty reserved. as a person. And so if I was around the right group of people, I would open up. And with my best friend, it's like I could be the silliest.
Yeah, with like your close people that you have to like gain trust.
Yes.
And then you open up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so funny.
How about you?
Yeah, it's so funny because when you talk about it, I feel like very the same.
Yeah.
That if I would have to describe it, I would be very creative. Crafty. I was extremely crafty, and then independent. I would play by myself all the time, and I would be so at peace and be like, I'd rather like
in your own world,
in my own world, doing my own things. I would like do anything, like spend all my afternoons doing anything creative. It would be. I remember Play-Doh. I would play with Play-Doh clay.
Oh, so this is on point.
No, yeah, really. Or like I went through a phase where I was making jewelry with wires. I have like tools.
Oh, like literal jewelry.
No, literally jewelry. Wire, I had my tools. I remember I did, those foam sheets that are like really thin foam sheets that you would use in school to do like crafty stuff. I had like it's not like it was like a shape cutter, that it's like, I don't know, this shape of
like
a star. So I would do like hundreds, and then I would make like a bracelet out of those and things like that. And I would sell them in school. I would bake a lot. I remember going to the kitchen and like make up recipes, usually desserts. Well, not usually.
I would make up recipes too.
Well, not usually desserts. Like 99% of the time, it would like be a cake or like a brownie or like fudge or whatever. But sometimes I would like pretend I'm a bakery.
Yes, me too.
A baker and make up like recipes. So anything creative and very independent.
Yeah, I love that. How was your relationship with animals growing up?
Well, I really wanted to be around animals, but my family is not very into animals, so we didn't. Like, we had a lot, but it wasn't. We had a lot of animals, but for short periods of time. So I remember we had like rabbits, then we had a monkey. Did I ever tell you about a monkey? We had like a tiny monkey that we had for a long time. And then my grandma took the monkey.
But the reason why I bring that up is because I feel I've always been very nurturing as well as a kid. Like whenever we had like a new cat at the house, the cat would sleep in my room and I would take care of the cat. Yeah. And I would love that, just that nurturing side. So in doing exercises of thinking about my younger self recently, I realized I just remembered all of these little things that I used to love as a kid and that now I'm trying to really bring into my life. And it's at that moment that you realize just how much of yourself that is easy to forget. Like, as you were saying, like as life gets heavier and complicated and you have a lot more responsibilities.
I feel that it tells so much about our personalities, that inner child or that side of us, that we tend to be so disconnected now, but back then it was like so true to ourselves. It would be like,
it was natural. It was
natural. That's what you wanted to do at that time, and you felt like doing it, and you would do it, and you did it, and no judgment, no fear of anyone's thoughts or what would anyone would think about you. You would do whatever you felt like doing. And I feel I've seen so many videos, which now I understand that sometimes when you're so lost in what you want to do in life, because I've talked about this, like at one point in my life, I had the opportunity to take my life into different directions, like what I wanted to do, what I wanted to focus on. And I remember like watching a lot of videos about it and listening to podcasts about it, and they were saying to basically answer some questions, to figure out yourself and what would be something that truly fulfills you, and in order to find what would be like a fulfilling life and what would be like not your dream job, but some sort of give you direction on where to go, basically. And one of the questions that kept repeating throughout like different videos would be, what would be something you did as when you were younger or like when you were like a child. So basically things that we were talking about, we were very creative, we were very well independent, we were very prayerful, like things like that, that it gives you so much insight about your personality. So now like we're in creative careers. So it kind of ties back to that.
Yes, yes. And there is a quote here that I love, which is like, in connecting to your inner child, let it bring you back to a version of you that didn't need a reason to create. And that has been so big for me lately. I feel like when I was younger, I would spend days just drawing for no reason, for no absolute reason. I'd just be in my room drawing, not a care in the world. And I went to art school. And so I feel like at that point, I was being graded for like my art, and I was being graded for doing something that felt like natural and creative to me. And ever since then, I've totally stopped drawing.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like, I never anymore create out of
like just like passing time,
just
you know?
because. I mean, I don't want to say never, because I feel like now maybe I'll do more like interior design related stuff just out of nowhere, like, but it's still kind of related to my career. But anything that would be like drawing or this, like playing with clay, I would never do that. Like on a Sunday, like, oh, let me just play with some clay. Yeah. Today, it just feels like a waste of time.
Right. Exactly. And yeah, that's what I was, that's a good point, because now, at least in my case, that we're so busy and we spend so many hours of the day at work, and then we come home and we want just to have dinner and like go to sleep or like scroll on our phones, whatever. That feels like you're wasting your time in a way that, okay, I'm not doing anything productive out of it. It's like I'm not taking anything out of it, you know?
It's like for some reason I've convinced myself that if I'm scrolling on my phone, then I'm more productive than if I were painting or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, which is not the case, but of course,
not at all. Because it's those moments, if you're like, as you're listening to us talking, if you're someone that's creative as well, it's those moments of creativity that just really allow you to get back to your center. Yeah. And energetically, I just feel being creative is also a way to process energy and to let go of things and to just be alone with your thoughts and not on a screen and not anything, just...
Yeah, I agree. And I feel it also helps you reconnect with yourself. We have one episode where we talk about like tuning in with yourself. And I feel that's a great way to tune into yourself more, because at some point not too long ago, I felt that I was like very disconnected with myself. I felt like I stopped doing things that I liked, not because of anything. It's just because, I don't know, life gets easy, and also you want to be with your friends. So instead of like spending time by yourself, it's like, oh, I want to see my friend that I haven't seen. So it's like you fill your calendar with like other things, with stuff instead of like spending time with yourself. And at some point I felt like really disconnected, and I started to think about literally when I was younger, that I was like, oh, I used to do so many things that were creative, that led me, it was like an activity. And for some reason I wanted to start like baking again, which I stopped just because, like, of course, like we are in like this like wellness journey, and I used to bake like cookies and like cakes, and I'm not baking a full cake.
Oh, but you could find like healthier recipes.
Yeah, I can find healthy recipes, but at the same time, like, that's what I thought. So it's like, I'm cooking a cake, and I was like, okay, I can make it healthy, but it's like a full cake. So it's like, I'm not eating a full cake. So that whole process went through my mind.
It's like, are you going to bake a whole cake just for yourself?
Or like buying all the ingredients and like wasting money. Like, oh, you know.
It's like all of the logical things that you would never think about as a kid.
You become a lot more logical about it. It's like, okay, I'm spending money, and then I'm cooking, and then I'm like, am I wasting food? And then I'm like taking, and I was like, maybe I just bake something and I take it to the office and like people try it. Like I started doing like the whole thing, and I was like, maybe that's too complicated. So it's like you start like overthinking it so much, and I was like, whatever. And I didn't do it, but I've been wanting to do that for so long. But another thing that I was like, maybe let me just try something new. And that's when I was gifted a piano, so I could like start like.
Have you been keeping up?
Not very much, but like because it takes time.
Yes,
it's like,
it
but
takes
I've practiced
dedication.
like whenever I have like free time. It's just like I practice the same songs that I haven't practiced this song in a while, so I just like put it again and like try to get the hang of it back again. But trying to find something at least that's my inner child is creative. Like it could be something different for you guys, but for us too, it's like more on the creative side. But maybe you can find something, try to remember what you used to do when you were younger. But
you know what? There's something too about tactile activities, like using your brain as you're moving your muscles.
Right.
I don't know the science behind it, but it's really, really good for your brain. And neuroplasticity. Okay. I'm using a big word right now. I'd have to do research into exactly why. But yeah, it's really good for our brains. And I think back at my grandma who has Alzheimer's, and she's not very present at all. She barely talks in anything, but she loves tactile games. Like there's like, it's obviously like kids games that they just buy for her that she does, but it's like sewing, and she'll do stuff with her hands, and these are things that actually keep her engaged and interactive in the world now that she has multiple functions that are no longer like active.
Right.
So, and there's something too, like that's like a little bit off topic, but I've thought about too how in life, like the cycle of life, you're a kid and then you go into adulting and you lose kind of that like inner child. But then as you get older, I feel like older people, they go back to not really caring what people think. They go back to doing whatever it is that they want to do.
True.
And it's like you go back to being a kid. So it's like that full circle moment. Of life.
Yeah, that's true. So now, what do you feel has blocked you or like prevent you from like connect with your inner child?
I think responsibility is a big part of it, and having to take care of bills and having to be very responsible. I think that really kills my inner child.
Yeah.
So right now I'm really trying really hard to find a way to balance between responsibility and carefree energy.
Yeah, I see what you mean. And I think it also it's because we start looking at things like the more logical way.
Yes.
Too. And it's like what we were talking about. It's like, okay, you want to do something creative, but you start to think about all the other things. It's like it's gonna take me
doing something creative.
Yeah, the whole logistics. Like, okay, I need to spend money, or it's gonna take me 2 hours, and then I have to clean up, and then things like that.
You get in your head.
You get in your head that when you were a kid, it's like you didn't worry about those things. So I think it's just like try to not think too much about it.
Yeah.
You know?
So would you say for you that's like the biggest killer?
Yeah, I would say that
the logic aspect.
I would say that would be my second killer. I would say the first one would be schedule, like time wise. I feel like at least recently,
like you're wasting time.
No, not that. I think it's more like recently I feel I don't prioritize it as much. So it's like, okay, I have
you don't schedule it. You don't.
No, it's like I don't have that much spare time during the weekdays at least, and it's like during the week I need to get out of my way to be creative, and then during the weekends it's like I rather do other stuff that are more like social maybe or run errands or things that I don't have time to do during the week and things like that. So I don't prioritize it as much, but I feel like as I was saying that at one point I felt so disconnected that I think it's so important to prioritize it and have some time with yourself. And sometimes, like we have talked about this previously, that it's important to have time by yourself and being able to being alone and enjoy being with yourself. But not always it needs to be doing like journaling, meditating, or doing things that you like. It could also be trying to reconnect with your inner child too.
Yeah. And also I would add to that, it doesn't have to be, there's so many like creative things that you can do in a group that is more artful and
that's true.
That like gets you closer to your inner child.
Yeah,
and
that's
even
a good point.
You know what? Honestly, even connecting back with old friends and having those moments where it's just friends and your girlfriends and you're thinking back about how something used to be, and then
or being all like goofy and playful with your
Yes,
friends.
like I
Yeah, that's true.
remember the other day when I went to my cousin's bachelorette, then we sing karaoke and we were like
Yeah, okay.
reminiscing all these songs that we used to sing together.
Oh yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
That's a good point. And also remember it was kind of long ago that we went to a pottery class.
Yes.
That's a good point. It's you can also do something with friends that help you like reconnect, and you can do like be social, but then do things that are more creative that reconnects you with your inner child. So it doesn't need to be like one thing, you know?
Yeah. And I would say too, as part of the things that I feel block me from connecting with my inner child is feeling like I need to be responsible. And it's kind of like nowadays, I don't really allow myself to be like as joyful as I used to be or as playful. It's like I have to not put an image of being serious, but I want to present myself as someone that is more mature and, you know.
Yeah, that's true.
So in doing that, then.
Yeah, you were like dimming that light of.
Yes, of just being
more fun
and playful and wonderful
and carefree
about life. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point too. And that happens a lot, especially like when you are in a different setting, like
up in a professional environment. I feel like there's definitely a time and a place to connect with your inner child and then connect with the more like mature and refined version of yourself. But I think again, it's that balance. It's like you cannot always be playful and joking around. Like that's, you know, I feel like it should be a balance. But for a big majority of my like adult life after graduating college, I would say I've been very serious.
Okay, yeah.
And trying to prove myself career-wise and, you know.
Yeah, so you were more focused about that instead of like.
And then also it's like the pressure of figuring out your life, where you're going, paying your bills and all of these things. It's like,
yeah,
you know, it forces you to move in a different direction.
Yeah.
So we talked about how your inner child can connect you back to your purpose on this earth. And I really love this quote that says, your purpose isn't something you find, it's something you remember. And I feel like a lot of like, I personally have been repeating this a lot in episodes that I feel like sometimes the purpose of meditation and the purpose of self-actualization is just remembering who you are, remembering what you're doing. I really do believe that before we come onto this earth, we know exactly what the plan is, it's like God's plan, you know? And then when you come here, you forget.
Yeah, and it's not only that you forget, it's also that you get, I don't know if biased is the right word, but it's like you start to be more logical about it and be like, okay,
more human.
Yeah, I mean, like, okay, to give a simple example, like career-wise, it's like, in my case, to give a literal example, I always like fashion design. So, but in my mind, I was like, fashion design, it's not like as easy to be like so in my mind, that's what I thought, to be successful as a fashion designer, and their salary is not the best, and blah, blah, blah. And I started to be more logical about it. And I was like, okay, let me just be an architect. And then that's when I was like not an architect. I was like, okay, I think interior design is more aligned to me. But I changed what I wanted to do because I started to be more logical about it and not doing exactly what I wanted, to give an example, you know?
Yeah. I think it's so easy to suppress that inner voice.
Yeah.
As, you know, time passes and as, like we're saying, you have more responsibility, to suppress that inner voice that's telling you, oh, but I'm really interested in this. I really want to look deeper into that.
Yeah.
And your logical self is like, nope, we don't have time. We have to move forward. We have to do this. We have to do that.
Yeah.
And so it's allowing yourself to listening to that little voice again that's in you and remembering that voice and that'll ultimately... It's like, why wouldn't you want to live in a life of alignment? Alignment with your soul, alignment with who you are. And so that's what I feel I've been on a major journey on recently, is discovering that. And so we'll share with you a couple prompts that we feel can help you along the way of connecting back to your inner child.
yeah, to help you try to reconnect and to think backwards to as you used to be and remember.
Yeah, just remember. Really, the purpose of life, I'm telling you, is remembering.
Yeah.
So the first one that we have is, what was I naturally drawn to as a child?
Yeah, so basically visualize what you were doing when you were a kid, like when
Yeah,
you
like
were
Andrea and I talked about it at the beginning of the episode, like what we were naturally drawn to, what we were doing.
yeah, what you were doing without being told to do, you know? It's like what you were
Yes.
actually wanted to do.
Yes. Then the second one is, when did I feel most free and myself growing up?
I don't know why I have like this this memory is so vivid, but it's like when I would make jewelry and like selling the jewelry and like showing it to people. It's like, oh, I love that side. So, I mean, when I was like going through like that career crisis, I was like, maybe I'm like a jewelry designer. I'm not kidding you. I was like, maybe I have it in me. You never know, people.
Yeah. For me, when was I the most free? I feel like I was the most free whenever I was at the beach.
On the beach,
Yeah.
just playing.
In the sand, in the water. The third prompt is, what was I told was too much or not enough about me? I think that's such a killer of your inner child when someone tells you, okay, you're too happy right now, or you're too
Yeah.
excited, you're too this, you're too that.
Yeah, it's like the judgment starts to hit you. You know, it's like when you're a kid, like there's no judgment, like everyone's doing their own thing and you're not judging. It's like you just doing whatever you feel like. And then I guess like as you get older, it's like when people start like being more judgy
But
and
I would say,
criticize.
even as a kid, remember back to what your parents were telling you. Because for me, when I was doing this exercise of connecting back to my inner child, I would remember things that my parents would tell me, don't do that. Don't do this that way, do it this way.
Oh, right.
So it might not even be, it could be that their intentions could have been good, but unknowingly they could have been suppressing a part of your creativity or a
Right.
part of your decision making skills or a part of your, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good point.
So I would say it's not even just when, like, as you started growing up, I would say even when you were little, to think about what people around you who raised you would tell you, don't do this that way, do it this way. Because these things stay with you and they'll create your limiting belief patterns, and they'll create the idea of who you believe that you are.
Yeah, that's true. Number 4, how can I make space for more play, imagination, or softness in my life now? So that's what we're talking about. Try to think back, and let's say that when you were a kid, you liked to bake. Maybe try to bring that back as a hobby or something that you do over the weekends, or maybe for your friend's birthday, you just bake them a cake. Things like that. Try to incorporate them in more in your like life.
Yeah, I love that. So the last thing we'll say, and I actually have never done this for myself. I guess I do it partially in daydreaming, but I've never done an active meditation for that specifically. But in meditation, you can visualize your younger self and just pay attention to what they're doing. Pay attention to their energy. Pay attention to how they move in life, what they're drawn to. I think a lot of things can be revealed just through visualization.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's like visualizing and connecting with your like subconscious, I feel.
Yeah. Yeah, in a lot of ways. And I think unknowingly too, I will connect with past versions of myself and even future versions of myself in my daily life sometimes. It's like, yeah, I'll think about my future self and where she probably is and sending her love, and my past self and where I've been. But yeah, so we do feel like a big part of adulting is making sure that you remember who you are and who you've always been in this life. Because it really does hold so many truths.
Yeah, I was gonna say that it's a great way to understand your personality a bit more. I feel it's like to see your essence or your natural self.
Yeah. How's it going for you?
I changed my direction so many times.
Yeah. I'm trying to make a flower.
Yeah, I can
but
tell.
It looks more like a like you know those flowers that can eat that have teeth?
Yeah, that's so
what it
true.
looks
I was
like.
like, it looked like something, and now you say that, it's so true.
Because right now I feel like I'm at a point in my journey where last year I went through such a big spiritual growth as a seed, and now I'm sprouting and blooming more into my truth and my purpose.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I was inspired by this flower.
Love it.
Is your inspiration jewelry?
No, well, in the end, I was like, yeah, maybe it could be like something like a ring or like a bracelet. But in the beginning, when I was a kid, I had a desk that I was very organized as a kid. So I would like, if I wasn't doing anything crafty or creative, I would like organize my room. That would be like one of like my top 5 favorite things to do.
I would love.
That would be
I rearranged my room so many times.
Same. So I had like a desk, which I would reorganize the drawers so many times.
Yes.
And inside that desk drawer, I had a box. And it was like a wood box. And I did like a insect forest house.
Okay.
So it was like made out of Play-Doh. So that it was like a wood box. And then I would make like a worm house. So I put like green being like the grass. So I filled like the box with like Play-Doh. And I did like the worm. It was like balls like this. And it was like balls. And when you connected, it was like the worm. And I started doing that. And it reminded me so much of it. And I was like, oh, cool. And then it just like it was transformed to jewelry.
Nice.
But I remember loving that box. Like I would open the box every day. It would be like my pet. I would like open the box, play with my worm, and then put it back in my desk drawer.
I love that. So to wrap up the episode, I feel like there's so much talk lately about manifesting the life of your dreams and it feeling like you have to create something new out of your life and you have to forget your past and become this new, rich,
better person.
fulfilled version of yourself.
Yes.
And as if anything that was in the past was trash and however you thought was bad, which I feel there is some truth to that in terms of letting go of limiting beliefs like we had talked about in season 1, which ties in a lot to this episode, I feel. So we'll link it below if you haven't seen it. But there's definitely a part of the work that is restructuring your brain in order to find your truth. But what we're saying today in this episode is that manifesting the life of your dreams and living in purpose doesn't have to be creating a totally new version of you. It could just be remembering who you've always been.
Yeah, and realigning with yourself and understanding that it doesn't need to be something like, it needs to be something that fulfills you, that you want, that it's you, that it's nothing like completely different from what you are. It needs to align with yourself and connecting with that side of yourself. Will lead you there.
Yeah. So we'll end the episode with some words of inspiration that you can take with you as you go on your journey of reconnecting with your inner child.
You don't have to become someone new to attract the life you want. You just have to remember who you were before the world told you to change. That version of you still exists and they're full of magic.
Yeah.
I love that.
Full of magic.
Full of magic. If you have been modeling with clay with us, please share pictures of your final results. Oh, should we do like a close-up?
Go on our Instagram. We'll post this.
Yes. Okay.
we'll post pictures of our final creations.
I love that.
If you are not looking at the video right now, we'll just describe you. I modeled like a flower thing and also like a sea urchin looking object.
Oh, yeah. True. I modeled... This is a very abstract. It could be a furniture piece. I like that idea. I might sell that design to someone. No, I'm kidding. But I wasn't inspired on anything specifically, but it ended up looking like a cool coffee table.
Yeah, pretty cool.
The interior designer in me.
So send us pictures of your creations.
We would love to see them.
No, that'd be really cool.
Yeah.
Don't shy away. Even if you don't want us to post it, even if you just DM us.
You can just send the picture. Yeah, just a picture.
Yeah.
We would love to see it.
Let us know in the comments what you thought about this conversation, if it inspired you, and let us know what your inner child was like. We'd love to know.
Yeah, we would love to know if it was like similar to us, like more creative, or what you like to do.
Yeah.
Just what you did as a kid. The only way this podcast grows is if you like our content and subscribe.
So please do. You can find us on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Apple Podcast,
Music, Spotify, Apple Music.
At As You Are Pod.
And I was going to say see you next Wednesday.
I was going to say see you next Wednesday.
I guess we see you in
June 4th.
June 4th.
In a month.
Yes, we'll miss you, but stay tuned.
Yeah, stay tuned. And hopefully we have some newer like updates and things for you coming up. So we're excited to start with a fresh season.
Yes.
In a month. So tune in.
Love you.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye.